30 minutes to the big drawing. $1 billion up for grabs in the Mega Millions lottery coming up yet tonight. I got a ticket in. I've got 10 plays. So I bought 2 tickets with 5 sets of numbers on each ticket. I got a text from a regular listener that said, "Hey, Jeff," let me pull this up, by the way, so I can tell you exactly what he said. Shot me a text that said, he said, "Hey, Jeff, thought I'd pass this along. A long time ago, I used to work with a gentleman in another company who used to work for the Texas Lottery Commission. He told me that when you buy a quick pick, a lottery ticket, like an auto lotto, where you let the machine pick your numbers, if you're buying, call it 5 sets of numbers, instead of getting one ticket with all 5 sets of numbers on the same ticket, you're better off buying 5 sets of numbers on 5 different tickets." So he basically saying every lottery ticket you buy, you should make sure that lottery ticket has only one chance on it, basically one play on it. And he went on to say that the reason that is because the guy from the Texas Lottery Commission had told him, when you buy a quick pick or you buy the auto lotto concept, if you're going to get multiple plays, like $5 worth, for example, do them on single tickets, because those quick picks, a lot of times you'll get a lot of the same numbers. And when you buy each play on a different ticket, you tend to get a more variety, a different set of numbers. So I thank you for that text, and I promised I'd pass that along. And you know what? My response to that is I bought 10 plays tonight, and so I got 2 different tickets on 2 different tickets with 5 plays on each ticket. And I noticed as I looked at those, there were duplicates of numbers across my tickets. So it wasn't like, so it was 5, 6 numbers on each play times 5. So I had 30 numbers on the page. And I noticed that of the 30, there were about 20 of the numbers were unique. The other ones were duplicates. So it's a good point. Thank you for the text on that. We're talking about what you do if you hit the lottery night. Dream with me for a minute. What do you do? What do you do? You hit a big number. I'm not talking a couple $100, a couple $1,000. What if you hit a couple $1 million? What do you do? How do you respond? What do you do with that money? How do you do it? How do you do the disbursement, and what do you do with that money? 800-288-9227 is the number, 800-288-WBAP. You can also hit me up across social media at Westside Jeff. I got a tweet on X from a buddy of mine, Rookie. I call him Rookie. Don't talk to him often, but every now and then I get a chance to. So Rookie says to me, hey, Westside, with $1 billion, here's what you do. You donate the ticket to Honor Fund at Honor Fund as a charitable remainder trust. And you take a tax-free distribution of $40 to $50 million a year in perpetuity and give 99% of it away every year. Then you'll be able to afford a private plane to fly to Pinehurst, some of your favorite courses, play Pinehurst number 2 or Pine Needles. And he goes on to say, I know your golf game. You can give up 5 strokes aside and donate money to the cause to some of your golfing buddies that you want to play golf with down at Pinehurst. Rookie, that's a good idea. You know what? And if I hit the nut tonight, you be one of the guys I'm calling and say, come on, I got a plane flying in, because I know he lives up in Montana a lot, but he also has a home here in North Texas. I'm going to fly up to Montana, pick you up private, and we're going to fly over to Pinehurst. We're going to play golf, and I'll give, you know what, Rookie, for you, I'll give you 10 strokes aside just so I can lose more money and pay you some money. That's what I do. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227 is the number. What would you do if you hit the number? What would you do if you hit some sizable lottery? What would you do? How would you collect it? How would you spend it? What's your plan? I mean, people talk about, hit the lottery. And I hear people say, pay off my mom or dad's debt. Got a note from a regular listener, Duncan. Duncan, thanks for weighing in. You've been listening all week, and according to your email. Thank you very much. But Duncan, you said, Duncan said, where was it? He said, bear with me. He said, blah, 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 bear with me. He said, Jeff, I like your idea of paying off other friends, loved ones' debts. He said, remember me in 15 minutes. I shot back a note, Duncan, you got my word. If I'm that guy, expect a call from a lawyer. I'll tell you in 2 minutes what I'm talking about if you missed it a few minutes ago. What I do if I hit the big lottery tonight. What I would do is something that most people have never thought about doing. But when I tell you what it is, because it's common sense, you go, yeah, I like the idea. And it may influence you if you hit the big lottery yourself. So Duncan says to me, remember me in 15 minutes. And he said, as I will you, I promise. So if he hits it, I'll get a call from an attorney saying, here, pay off all your debts. Duncan, you got my word. I hit it. You'll get a call from an attorney saying, give me all your, give me how much money you owe, wherever it is, we'll pay off all your debts. So what do you do to hit the big lottery tonight? 800-288-9227. I'll tell you in 3 minutes what my plan would be. First, I want to hear from Jason from Poolville. Jason, thanks for listening. You're on WBAP. What's your plan? What's your thought? How do you do it, man?
Hey, hello, Jeff. Hey, first of all, the last couple of months, the last 6 months or so, I've been doing some estate planning with my mother. And, I've already been working with some attorneys and stuff like that. But I've always thought, for years, my kids are of legal age now and all that kind of stuff. But everything all those winnings, if I got it, would go into a trust fund. And out of that trust fund, then we could, we could differentiate funds in different places. But there would be a whole lot of stuff that would be going to charity, from volunteer fire departments. I'm a big fan of the Texas Pythian Home in Weatherford. They take care of kids like orphans, or if their parents happen to, both their parents wind up in jail or something like that, and there's no place for them to go. The Texas Pythian Home is always there. It was set up by the Knights of Pythias years ago. I don't know if you've ever been to Weatherford, but you need to come to Weatherford and take a tour of the Pythian Home.
I'll check it out.
But they're one of my charities. I've been a volunteer firefighter for over 30 years here in my local community. So there would be a big contribution to that volunteer fire department. But there would be some scholarships. I would offer quite a bit of money for scholarships because I believe that education is very important, and not just college scholarships. I would be, I would think about scholarships for fire academy, police academy, cosmetology, all different kinds.
Sure, career tech,
all different kinds. Yeah, career tech, all different kinds of things like that. So anyway, that's my plan. But basically, I would take. I had an older man that was very wealthy, very well respected in the Weatherford community for years and years and years. He was on the hospital board, and he was all kinds of things. He also did taxes, and he told me if I ever won the lottery to get it in cash and come see him. So I will take the cash. I would take the cash. I would set it up into a trust, reinvest most of it, of course, so that there's always going to be a source of income, hopefully. But my kids. Now I'm not going to just write my kids checks. They're going to be working. They're going to be responsible and stuff like that. I'm not.
You want to be comfortable, but not wealthy, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to make it easy for them.
Don't make them lazy. Make them work for it.
No, absolutely not. They're going to have morals. They're going to have morals, but I think the scholarship thing is very important. I really do, because education is important.
All right, Jason, thanks for calling. I appreciate you weighing in on that and opinion. Jason from Poolville. So the question for you is, for others, what do? You hit the lottery tonight, you hit a big number. What do you do with the money? People say, if I hit it, here's what I'll do. Have you really dreamt about it? Dream with me for a few minutes. What do you do? Dream with me. What do you really do? I mean, 30 minutes from now, you look at the numbers and go, holy crap, I won. Now what are you going to do? Something tells me a lot of us would look at it and go, uh-oh. You'd be happy on one hand and scared on the other. I know this. I'd sleep with a daggone lottery ticket. I've always heard sign the back of it, take pictures of it, hold on to it, put it in a safe place. That'd be the first thing I'd do also. We're talking about the lottery. If you hit tonight, what do you do? My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. I want to hear your thoughts on what you would do if you hit a big number in the lottery, and what truly, how would you disperse the funds, and how would you handle that? I want to tell you what my plan would be, and I'll tell it to you in about 3.5 minutes. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff, in for Chris Crocken. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. We're a couple minutes away from the big Mega Millions drawing. $1.2 billion. I think it was the fourth largest jackpot ever. Coming up, the drawing is coming up in a matter of minutes. And so I ask, people talk about, if I won the lottery, I'd do X, Y, and Z. I got a couple questions for you. Who do you know? Do you know? And if you do, who has won any significant amount of money in the lottery? Now, I'm not talking like $12 like I won today. I went to the store today and cashed my $12 ticket and reinvested it into tonight. I'm not talking about the $150 that I won. I actually won $150 in the lottery. I'm not a regular player, but I bought a couple tickets when the number was high. I always look and see. I always watch the news and hear them say, nobody won the lottery. No one won the big ticket. And when nobody wins, I don't even check the tickets. I just, next time I'm in the store, I run them through and see if I won anything. Well, I did that once. So I walk into a convenience store, one of the C stores, we call it. And I walked in. I knew I'd not won the big jackpot because nobody did. So I'm standing at the counter. It's the middle of the day. There's probably 20 people in the convenience store. Many of them in there buying lunch and buying snacks like that and paying for gas and so on. And so I'm waiting in line. Probably 8 people. I get up to the front of the line. Lady says, how can I help you? I said, just run these lottery tickets. Again, there's about 30 people in the store. She takes the lottery tickets. She goes over, runs them. Nothing. Then all of a sudden you hear, winner, winner, winner. You are a winner, winner, winner. And all the big noise. And I went, uh-oh. How much did I win? Because I've never heard that before. And I thought, that's not like a $2 winner. How much is it? And all I could hear, out of the corner of my eye, see people in the store kind of gathering around me. And I'm like, uh-oh. If I'm going to win any significant amount of money, somebody's going to have to walk me out to the car and make sure I get out there before I get thumped. And the lady goes, hey, congratulations, man, you won $150. And I was like, okay, it's only $150. That's a lot of money, but it wasn't like $10,000 or something. And everybody in the store is celebrating, going nuts. And I'm like, great, now they all want me to buy them coffee or something. That was a weird situation. It was only $150. It wasn't several $1,000s. But I do have a cousin that was part of a group that in 1998 won $295.7 million in the Powerball jackpot. And I'll tell you that in about 3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes, I'll tell you that story. We're talking about the lottery tonight. The drawing comes up in about 10 minutes or so. It's Mega Millions, $1.2 billion. My question for you is, if you were to win a significant lottery, I'm not talking $150. I'm not talking $10,000. I'm talking $1 million, couple $1 million. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you handle that? What do you do with that money? Again, I'll tell you in about 2 minutes about my cousin who won a significant amount of money. I got a tweet from a former employee of mine. I call him Rookie. Rookie has a home here in Dallas, but he also lives primarily up in Montana and travels between the two cities. He's done well for himself. He's got a couple places. And kind of partially retired. He still does some work, but doesn't work the kind of workload that I do. And so my buddy Rookie sends me a note, says, hey, he always calls me Jeffy. But he says, hey, Jeffy, he said, with $1 billion, here's what you need to do. And he knows me very well. Rookie, you nailed it. He said, you donate your ticket to Honor Fund, at Honor Fund. as a charitable remainder trust. You take out a tax-free distribution of $40 to $50 million a year in perpetuity, and you give 99% of it away every year. He said, then you have enough money, you can fly your own private plane down to Pinehurst or up to Pinehurst and Pine Needles, one of the places I love to play golf, and beat your butt off by giving 5 strokes aside to anybody you play golf. That way you can donate some money to some golfing buddies. Well, let me tell you, Rookie, if I'm one of those big winners tonight or anytime, I'm going to get that plane. I'm going to fly it over to Montana, up to Montana, pick you and the wife up. We're going to fly over to Pinehurst, Pine Needles. We're going to play there for a couple days, and I'll give you 10 strokes aside. Deal? That's what I'll do. I mentioned a moment ago, my cousin was part of a group of $295 million. If you want to weigh in on a story about what would you do with your money, how would you do it, I want to hear it. 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. My cousin Bob was a member. He worked for a machine shop up in Westerville, Ohio. 1998, they had a group at work that contributed money, and they bought auto lotto tickets. So they had the machine pick the numbers. He got angry about that once, and he had a temper a little bit. He said, I'm out for a while because I think we need to pick our own numbers instead of letting the machine do it. Coincidentally, when he stopped contributing to the group, they hit on $295 million. He was not one of those members, but they called him the Lucky 13. There was a big story in the news back then. 13 people won, split the money. One of them, or a couple of them, pulled together resources. They had an attorney call my cousin and say, you know somebody who hit a significant amount of money. They want to know how much money you owe who and account numbers, and it's all going to be paid off. Love the concept. That's what I would do. Here's what I would do if I hit the lottery. I've got a long list of people who have influenced my life personally, influenced me professionally, influenced me spiritually, influenced me emotionally, influenced me psychologically. There are people in my life who have had an impact on my life. Some of them probably don't even know the impact they've had. I would get an attorney. I would tell them, here's the people I want you to call, get a hold of. Tell them that somebody that they have influenced in life has done well and would like to pay off all their debts. That's what I would do. I'd get a list of all their debts. I wouldn't be doing it myself. I would not let anybody know I'm doing it. I'd have the attorney do it. But I have the attorney say to you, give me a list of everybody you owe money to and the account numbers and how much. It's all going to be paid off. I'll send you a receipt and all the titles so you will know it's all paid off. And it's on behalf of somebody that you've influenced their life. And the message that this person wants to convey is continue influencing people in the right direction. So thank you for doing what you've done to this person. And this person asks that you continue to do that with everybody you touch. That's what I would do. I love the concept. Anonymously do it. Somebody would have $1 million in debt. Others would have $20,000, others $50,000. But it would be paying it forward, paying it back. That's what I do. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. Got to hit bottom of the hour news with Sean Allen in the newsroom. On the other side of that, I want to get into another story about Trump tonight, that what he said about TikTok. And also another story. You're going to be up. Are you like me? I got to buy a new air conditioner this year. Mine's on the fritz. It's going to cost you more money, maybe 20, 25% more. I'll tell you why and what's going down. That takes effect in about 5 days. I'll tell you the rest of the story on the other side of the news. Westside Jeff in for Chris Crocker, News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. So I was playing golf a month and a half ago or so. It's a buddy of mine, Phil, who owns a HVAC company here in the area. And I bought a house in 1999 in an older neighborhood and basically bulldozed it and built my dream house, dream home. That was 2000, moved in 2001. So coincidentally, here we are 24, 23 years later, and a lot of the mechanicals in my home are going to be needing replaced. My air conditioning is one of it. If you're, here in North Texas in particular, the summers that we have, as hot as it gets, the stress on our air conditioners is significant. And if you get an air conditioner that lasts you 20 years, 23, 24 years, you're lucky. I've had mine last about 22 21 years because after being in the house for, about a year and a half, 2 years, they had to replace it because I had a lemon. So it's going to be due for replacement. So I said to Phil, hey, what's a new one going to cost? And the look on his face was one that you don't want to see. And I'm like, this doesn't look good. And he said, well, that depends. And I said, what are you talking about? Then he went on to tell me the story. The story is this, that the HVAC industry is beginning to transition to new refrigerants required by the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act of 2020. So if your air conditioner in your home or your business is near end of life, this affects you. If your air conditioner in your home or business is going to be needing replaced and in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, this is going to affect you. It's going to cost you more money. It's required by the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act of 2020, which gradually phases down the use of existing classes of refrigerants and establishes a new requirements for the refrigerants used in air conditioners and in heat pumps. The new class of refrigerants has a lower global warming potential than current ones. This is what my buddy Phil was telling me. So he went on to say that as part of the transition, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, has set transition dates for new equipment required to use new refrigerants, commonly referred to as A2LS. Back when I got my air conditioner installed, I used to call it Puron, refrigerant. Residential and light commercial air conditioners and heat pumps manufactured after January 1st, 2025, that's next Wednesday, must use the new refrigerant. Now, the equipment manufactured prior to next Wednesday has a 1-year grace period to be installed. That means they can install it through January 1st, 2026. That's the deadline. So the gear that's on the shelves now, the air conditioners that are in circulation now, the ones in supply houses now, can be sold to dealers, and dealers can sell them to you and I, so we can get them installed. But the new class of refrigerants that gets manufactured starting next Wednesday will be available probably within a month, and it'll cost you maybe 25% more is what my buddy Phil says. Depends on the size and a lot of variables, but he said plan on 20, maybe 25% more than what one would have cost you today. Now, for products that do not require field assembly, such as window air conditioning units, the rules establish that the final date of sale is 3 years from now after the manufacturer compliance date. That means January 1st, 2028. The EPA is evaluating an extension of transition dates by 1 year only for variable refrigerant flow or VRF systems with capacities of 65,000 BTU or more. Now, existing air conditioning heat pump equipment is not subject to EPA regulations and can continue to be used through equipment end of life. Now, components used for servicing and repair also are not subjected to EPA regulation. The supply of R410A and R134A and other refrigerants to meet servicing needs will remain available for the foreseeable future, even as overall production and imports decline through the middle of the next decade, as was the case in prior refrigerant transitions in the 90s and early 2000s. So the bottom line is this. My buddy Phil said, here's the deal, Jeff. If you want to replace the air conditioner you have now, you can buy the model that was manufactured in 2024. But that model is going to be phased out over time. I said, what's that mean? He said, let me tell you how it works. He said, we can sell you that air conditioner with the older style refrigerant that was manufactured in 2024. It'll work. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But as time goes, Jeff, the price of that refrigerant is going to increase over time to the point that at some point in time, maybe it's 8, 10, 12, 15 years, you're going to say, instead of continuing to keep that machine alive, it just makes more sense to replace it because of the cost of refrigerant. The government wants to change the refrigerant to make it more global warming friendly. It's not something the HVAC industry's asked for. It's something that's mandated by the government. It's about global warming. It's about climate change, all that good stuff. They want a more friendly environment refrigerant in your air conditioner and mine. And in the end, as my buddy Phil said to me, it's going to cost you 20, maybe 25% more. So I said to him on the golf course a month ago, you know what? I can get by. I don't need an air conditioner here in the next several months. I'm going to get by. Let's plan on replacing mine in the spring, maybe early summer, springtime, with the new air conditioner, with the new refrigerant. I said, what's your opinion on the new units and the new refrigerant? And I know Phil very, very well. I've known him for 30 years. He's a close personal friend. I play golf with him and member guests. We've been friends forever. And he had a look on his face. He said, jury's still out, Jeff. He said, I don't know enough about it. I've been through a lot of classes. I've been through a lot of training. I've been into the factory. I've talked to my factory guys. I've talked to manufacturers. I've talked to a lot of folks about it. But until I see it, feel it, experience it in the field, I don't know. He said, but it's government over regulation. It's what happens in everything else in life. Over regulation from government on small businesses. And in the end, Jeff, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no way around it. You can buy a air conditioner that's manufactured in 2024. We'll continue to install them and sell them for another year. We'll continue to sell the refrigerant for them. But at some point in time, what they will do is increase the price of that refrigerant because they're going to stop making it. So the supply and demand will come into play. There'll be less supply. There'll be more demand. At some point in time, it's going to get expensive enough that you're going to say, you know what? Let's not keep filling that thing with refrigerant. Let's just replace that air conditioning unit with that new variable refrigerant. And I said, when is that? When is the point that you got to start looking at replacing that old unit with a new one because the refrigerant gets too expensive? He said, I don't know yet. And it's going to take time. See how it shakes out. In the end, if you need to replace an air conditioner, you can buy it now, buy it today, manufactured in 2024 off the old refrigerant, and take your chances. Otherwise, starting next week, any air conditioner manufactured starting January 1st or later has to be manufactured with the new refrigerant, and it's going to be about 20-25% more. My attitude for now, I'm going to wait. I need a new furnace and a new air conditioner and do it all at once. Probably in the spring, take care of it all at once and get the new model with the new refrigerant. Hey, my attitude is going to rip off the Band-Aid. Let's rip it off. Let's go. If we're going to go, let's go. Not what I want to do, but if that's what the government's going to mandate, then that's what the government's going to mandate. Speaking of government mandating, I want to talk about TikTok in about 4 minutes. TikTok's come under fire for the better part of 3 or 4 years. Donald Trump has stepped in and said he asked the Supreme Court today to save it. I'll tell you what that means. I'll tell you what that looks like. And also, I want to talk about HUD. A new study came out from HUD, Housing Urban Development. I'd call it a PR piece, not a study. I'll explain about 3.5 minutes. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. I'm in for Chris Crock on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. You're going to see stories in the news on your social media feed. You'll see it in some of the printed publications that you read. You'll probably see it on the television news. The headline will say something like this: U.S. homelessness rose by record 18% in the last annual data. That's what the headline will say. And it goes on to talk about homelessness has increased. Now, that's just the headline and the quick look. But what you won't see is the rest of the details. That is a PR story for the Democratic administration. I'll tell you that in about 4 minutes. But first, Westside Jeff in for Chris Crock. Chris is back next Thursday night at 8 o'clock. I'm in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, while Chris covers for Casey Bartholomew, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the station. First, I saw late today, Donald Trump urges the Supreme Court to pause the TikTok ban. The president-elect took no position on the app's First Amendment challenge to the law, which sets a January 19th deadline to sell or close a popular platform. But today he filed an unusual brief on Friday, that was this afternoon, asking the Supreme Court to block a law that requires TikTok to be sold or shut down by January 19th. Now, that deadline falls a day before Trump is to be inaugurated, and the brief asks that the justices for the delay, so he's asking them to delay it so that he may address the matter. The brief says President Trump opposes banning TikTok in the United States at this juncture and seeks the ability to resolve the issues at hand through political means once he takes office. The brief took no position on the legal question that the justices are set to consider when they hear arguments in the case next month, whether Congress violated the First Amendment by effectively banning TikTok and adopting a distinctive tone at odds with sober and measured arguments more typical in Supreme Court advocacy. The brief instead touted Trump's expertise. So Trump's saying, hey, let me solve this when I get in office. Here's my 2 cents worth. You keep hearing stuff on TikTok. I'm not a TikTok user. I'm not on TikTok. That seems to be TikTokers tend to be people, the heavy users tend to be 35 to 45. I'm not one of those. Not opposed to it. I've got enough social media. I don't need that. But here's my thought. For several years, we've been hearing from government leaders that TikTok is bad because it's Chinese owned. And my attitude is, if it's Chinese owned, I want to know what the problem is. Is it just because it's Chinese owned? Because guess what? We spend a lot of money with Chinese owned companies. Hell, Trump in particular, when he had his brand of ties and clothing, I used to have some Trump ties. Every one of them said made in China. So if it's China is the enemy here, then why are we spending money with China on other things? And let me tell you what we spend money on. What does the U.S. government want to ban? Why do they want to ban TikTok when we spend so much money in China? iPhones are manufactured in China. Dell computers are manufactured in China. Xbox consoles and HP printers manufactured in China. So if China is the enemy, then why is the iPhone still one of the biggest best-selling products across this country? If we're going to ban TikTok, why don't we ban iPhones? If we're going to ban TikTok, why don't we ban Dell computers, Xbox consoles, and HP printers? And if it's about snooping, if it's about getting intelligence, is it possible the Chinese possible that they've done something to our iPhones, to Dell computers, to Xbox consoles, to HP printers that could be garnering data? And could they be harvesting that data against us? So why are we going after TikTok? I'm not necessarily a conspiracy theorist guy, but I got to say, why are we banning TikTok? Why is that a national security threat? And if TikTok's such a national security threat because it's China controlled, then why aren't iPhones? Why isn't Dell computers? Why isn't Xbox and why isn't HP printers? What does our government know about TikTok being a national security they've not told us? Because they've not told us anything. And why does the U.S. government want to ban TikTok? What's the real story? That's what I want to know. That's my question. Is there really a significant threat? And if so, what is that danger? And how is that different than any other Chinese threat with things made in China like iPhones, Dell computers, Xbox computers, HP printers? That's my opinion. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff in for Chris Crock. Chris is back next Thursday night. I mentioned a moment ago about HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. Today they released a 2024 annual homeless assessment report. The report, the headline that you're going to see across your national news feeds and media will say something like this: U.S. homeless rose by 18% in the last annual data. Saw a story on Reuters that says there was a record 18% rise in homelessness in the U.S. last year, driven by factors like unaffordable housing, high inflation, natural disasters, rising immigration. Why is it important? Well, homelessness is getting worse. By the numbers, they give you the numbers. But here's what you don't see. This was almost a PR brief that HUD issued. Let me give you the rest of the story. Some of the things that I went to the HUD website because I want to see, what does it say? What am I missing? Why is this so significant? It goes on to say that here in Dallas in 2021, Dallas transformed its homelessness response system with a focus on connecting individuals and families experiencing homelessness to housing. To do this, they created the Street to Home Initiative, a $30 million public-private initiative which strives to cut unsheltered homelessness in half by 2026. Some of the other things I read in this. This was a PR brief. This was a public relations. This was a stroke job for the Biden administration. The rest of their release, the rest of the report goes on to say the Biden administration says no Americans should face homelessness, and the Biden-Harris administration is committed to ensuring every family has access to the affordable, safe, quality housing they deserve. That's according to the HUD agency head. While this data is nearly a year old and may no longer reflect the exact situation we're seeing on the ground, it's critical we focus on evidence-based efforts to prevent homelessness. We know that the world's are getting better and more people homeless, and we need to do better. And the Biden-Harris administration's done a great job and continues to. That's the part of the story you're not going to see. This was a PR brief from HUD. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. We'll talk about this next week. We'll talk about it probably Monday. Homelessness is increasing. It is a problem. And my question is, how do you solve it? I think our listeners do a really good job and have great ideas on how to do it. I have some thoughts, but I want to hear you. Can we truly solve homelessness? I don't think we can, but I do think there are things we can do to improve conditions. We'll talk about that Monday. My name's Jeff. It's Westside Jeff. And for Chris Crock, Chris is back next Thursday.